1, 2. Wow, I think I'm loud now. All right. Yep. Okay, we're getting going here. So complicated today because the message is something else. I want to see. I'm not gonna be able to finish, but we'll try. Let me see. 1, 2, 3. I think it's working. Let me start with introduction while everybody else is on this way. It's good to see you, Brianna. Of course, you're always there on time. To have you. Let me start with introduction here. There we go. Pow, pow goes the powerhouse, and the COVID-19-MAN has come to deliver you from the empty land, from the ones who have been silenced to the promised land of the other bed, which is the original place for the soul of a man, where he can now get his jubilee and abide safe like he's never been, in the power of the Father, in the powerhouse, cause that's what World Electric, the Electric, is the only bed we're connected. World Electric, the Electric, in the powerhouse we're connected. Truth in the Torah where it is, that's right. And whether you like it or not, I just don't give a damn. Cause in this thing, the end is gonna be for sure. It's got a date before the song began to score. This ain't no lie, we about to fly. Cause in the truth, there's nothing that can be denied. Is the COVID-19-MAN is hooking you up to the other bed, to the powerhouse, with you waving. The COVID-19-MAN is gonna hook you up, cause that's what World Electric, the Electric, is the other bed we're connected. World Electric, the Electric, to no one else I'm genuflecting. World Electric, the Electric, to the powerhouse I'm connected. And then I want to get your power back, cause you were fighting there. The powerhouse not scared, you won't be silenced. Nobody can touch what you were fighting there. Gets to cut the masking back of lies. The righteous now they cries, cause the COVID-19 is gonna hook you up to the powerhouse. Leave the power show, ride this mule around. With the mic on there. Yeah, welcome my fellow barbarians. Let me see if this is picking up. 1, 2, 3 testing. 1, 2, 3 testing. Okay, seems to run my business. All right, and so far the usual suspects are here: Brianna, Brian, Andy, and I heard your mom's having problems with her phone, man. So I understand what she's going through. But you know, good to see you. Good to see you guys in here. And so we're gonna work as best as we can. And I know that I understand what your mom's going through. I'm gonna try to help her with her phone. Yeah, I know that's kind of an expensive thing, but you know, we'll do what we can. But we work here today, and so I did not go to the because I didn't have a chance to make the title page today. So that's why I came directly to this window, you know, to this scenario here. And so we're gonna talk directly now. I found a way on this old mic, because whenever something is given to me, I never mess with it. I just turn it in the way it's given to me. So I was figuring out this good professional mic that I have. It's got like a gain button there. So I was playing with it, and I think you can probably hear me now better than before. This is the old mic that I was using before that I had to be shouting a lot, but it's showing that it's picking up pretty good. So, you know, I hope that you're able to hear it. So now I figured out a way to you know, to use it better here with you guys. So, because this is the mic that I had to use for singing too, and it sounds good on the guitar. The other one, it kind of cracks when I use the other mic on the video machine. So I'm glad that I managed to figure that out. So basically today, you know, I just thought of the last minute the title for it, called the all-powerful Here and Now. All right, because I discover through the Torah, by the way, clearly all the powers that we have in the here and now, as we identify with our true nature, which is the breath of God, the Spirit of God, breath, air, all of that. Neshama, the soul that came, is the nature, our true nature, that one of being a spirit. We identify, but we don't see that. We lose sight of it because we're so caught up in the awareness of this body of flesh. And that's what I'm going to try to give you a little glimpse into all that is happening in the consciousness of the breath of the Spirit in the here and now, which we lose sight because there was a pronouncement made by God when we decided to wanted to go after all his titles, and give it to ourselves. There's a pronouncement that was made. He said, "Dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return." So, we disobeyed to trust him in the way that he can run the alphabet the best, and we thought that we could take that knowledge for ourselves and know how to do the best with the alphabet, and therefore we incurred that sentence that God pronounced. The devil did not say that. God said, "Dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return." That means you're going to be in this world, but all you're going to be aware is of yourself as the component that is made out of dust. So you're going to measure everything in life according to your body and to what's happening to your flesh in the here and now. And that's why you're going to be living unaware of that all the time. And that's how you have lost sight of my nature as a breath. So you don't understand my perspective as breath, as spirit. And you're going to be seeing everything, even though your inner core, your inner essence is part of what I am, still spirit, you're not going to be able to see that. You're just going to be able to identify with the dust, and that's what I'm going to talk about. Let me see if I can take you into a verse. Let me look for so we will delve right into this. All right. Let me get the lesson for today. Let's get it ready here. Let me see, I got it. All right, we have that. So we're dealing with this lesson for today. The strong tower, but it's called How to Breathe. All right, that's the title I have for today, but I put it at the beginning as, the all-powerful here and now, because we're discovering in this lesson all that we have for the here and now, because everything that really is just the here and now. We never live in the past, we never live in the future. By the time tomorrow gets there, it's the here and now. So we're always aware where we are in the here and now. So it's easy to forget all the power that we have if we are encapsulated in the awareness of this brick, this body that is made out of flesh. I use brick because, that's what it was used to work in now. We are used as creatures to build the tycoons and the elite cities and stuff. It's been used like that since Egypt. We built the pyramids, for those that wanted to, the pharaohs that wanted to have the biggest tombs, because they all managed, they have the book of the dead. They're all about the dead because they're cut off from God. So that's what they're elementary. So they use us as brick, as builders, for the retarded gardens. So that's why I use the word brick, because that's something that is made out of the dust. So yes, just to understand so that's what we are aware of as bricks. And when you're a brick, that's a different essence of breath. Breath is all inclusive. Breath is all around us. So if you rise your consciousness to the level of spirituality, to the level of breath, to the breath of God, then you're going to see more of the powers of breath. And then you're going to be more at ease. Nothing is going to mess you up. Okay? But if you are left in the pronouncement of God, because in Adam that pronouncement was made that we were just going to identify ourselves with dust and everything that has to do with the products that came out of the dust. And that's how the whole world is caught up. They realize they're only aware of themselves. So with the brick, there's confinement. You're only aware that there's limitations to you, that you have to connect to other bricks to get something done in this world. So there's separateness, separateness, or instead of oneness, because you see the breath is everywhere, all around this room, outside this room, it's inside my body as I'm breathing in, inside my lungs, and all of that is an agreement to give me life. So the sensation of oneness is only found in the breath because it just merges and it blends and embraces everything. It's all inclusive. So in breath, in the awareness of breath, of air, of oxygen, of spirit. You never experience what loneliness or anything is like that, because you're never separated from anything. You are always embracing everything to give it life. That is the nature and the essence of breath. But when you have forgotten that, you have departed from that, then the other awareness that takes in is this body. And you only measure life from the perspective of what is happening to this body in the here and now, and you do it according to the narrative that's been given to you as to what needs to be happening for you to find some sort of greatness in the here and now, or believe that you have found greatness in the here and now. I have earlier sharing something about the goat. If you saw it, I shared something about this comparison of millennials and the boomers. What the difference in building wealth, and so that it's hard to be the GOAT. That means the greatest of all time, because especially the young people, that's what they want to be. They want to work how to become the greatest of all time. Either in the area of sports, in the area of literacy, in whatever field. You want to be the greatest of all time for whatever specialty. And now the competition is tough. So to be the greatest of all time is, all those opportunities are decreasing. So I mentioned that earlier. I hope you caught on with some of that. But that's what we're looking at here. So we're going to learn today a very special lesson on how to increase our awareness. And the Torah, that's the nice thing, that God left us the Torah for that purpose. So as I explained before, the word Torah has a He at the end, which stands for breath. The window into the essence of God, because He is the divine breath, the divine spirit, from where everything emanated, from where everything came from. And so one of the main things, why the first and greatest commandment is to love God. The Ahab, to put the animated guy in the middle of the alphabet, and you're working for the alphabet, because the alphabet signifies the Father. So one of the first reasons why it says, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy mind, and with all thy soul, and with everything that you have. The reason is because when you love somebody, you're not gonna want to take their title from that person. When you're in love with somebody, you will never think of taking something that belongs to them and saying, oh, that's me now. As a matter of fact, when you love somebody, you give them accolades, even credits that you don't. Just if you suspect that the person has a little bit of something, you say, oh, he is this and that. As an example, that's why it's important to love somebody, because you're not out to steal any of their titles or any of their abilities or the talents from them. You will never even dream of that. Those of you that are parents will identify. When you have a little kid, let me see if I can put some guys in here to see how we're doing. Okay, there you are. I can see some of you. All right, we're still the same crowd. All right, very good, very good. So, hey, Rosa! Hey, love to see you. I like, you made it. I understand about the phone, so I understand what's going on. But when it comes to kids, those of you that are parents, you understand, when you come to kids, any little thing that little baby's showing, you attribute something to the baby. If the baby is just barely born, but it's just going like this, it's just naturally going like this, the father said, oh, he's going to be a boxer. He's going to be a champion. All of a sudden, the baby's not even dreaming of that. But, we attribute to the baby and even things that the baby doesn't even think that he has, but just because he does a certain act, or if the baby's moving the fingers like this, oh, he's going to be a great mathematician. Oh, yeah, I can see him. He's going to be a physicist. We attribute things to the baby. So when you love somebody, you don't take any talent or any attributes or anything away from them. Okay? The least thing that you suspect, you make it a big deal. You see? That's why God starts, you're going to love the alphabet with all your heart, with all your mind and every soul, because you're not going to steal any of the attributes from the divine breath. The divine breath is everything. He's the one that keeps us alive 24/7. He's the one that is holding, allows us to put our thoughts in order, allows us to express ourselves. It's all of that. And so, he is the he, we are the she. The soul is identified as a female, a she. The soul is a she. So the soul is a she because it's supposed to be married to the he, the divine breath. And so once the wife marries it inherits the awareness of all that the husband has, but the wife is then out there to steal the title from the husband. Now they're one. She's there to back him up every step of the way because he has married her to take care of her for all her needs and to cherish her, and to make sure that she's always happy. So there's this relation, that you don't take away things from people. So be weary of these religions that want to be, we are gods. We are this. They want to give themselves the titles of the divine breath. Away with such hogwash. God is going to reveal himself as all those things while he's in you because breath just shares all of himself with you. But at no time, if you're in love with the divine breath, are you going to take away any of his titles or any of his talents and say that they're yours and want to appropriate him for yourself. You see what I'm saying? So that's where we're coming from. That's why it makes perfect sense that thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all your heart, with all your mind, all your soul, because that's what we do when we have our little children. So when the little children is born, we're giving them attributes and talents that they don't even have yet, just because they show a little thing, that's barely manifesting itself, They say, oh, he's going to be this. Oh, he's going to be this. He's going to be the next, Nobel Prize winner. We give him the titles of champions, my little prince, my little princess. We call them by the titles of royalty, And the little baby just a piece of flesh, barely with motor skills, but to us, it's the whole world. That's how it is. So when we love somebody, we don't steal anything away from them. And that's exactly when it comes with God as well. So God wants to share all that he is with us, in the here and now. And I will show you right now how that works. Because when you rise up, to the level of what that's why the Torah was given us, because we lost our way. God knows that by pronouncing that, that enough for our rebellion of wanting to. So he did something amazing, which the whole world is going through that process right now, And let me share a little verse before I get into this and explain. Let me see if I have it here. I hope I left it here. Let me see. My goodness, I thought. Let me see. Let me open it up here. Give me a second. So I can check on this. I hope I didn't erase it. I want to see if I have it. Oh, I dropped it. Okay, Bible guy. Wait. It's here. All right, let me put it in here. Okay, I think I have it here. We're going to deal with Psalm. Okay, Psalm 44. This one here, 44, verse 25. It says, for our soul is bowed down to the dust. Our belly cleaveth. That means it's attached. It wants to be always identifying with the earth, onto the earth. For our soul is bowed down to the dust. That means, we're always aware of the item of us, which is this flesh. And our belly, that means our belly is the part of you, your stomach is the part where you have your desires and your satisfaction. Because as long as you're in the awareness of this body, you live to satisfy your appetites. You have your hungers and your satisfaction from your belly, and you derive the direction of your life. All everything is there because it's the center of your desires in your belly. So it says here, for our souls is bowed down to the dust. That we pay attention to everything that happens to the dust, and our desires, they're cleaved to the earth. So we fashion our desire for every product that has come out of the earth. We crave for those products. We are satisfied when we get them. So everything is run as bricks, In confinement, we feel our limitations. We feel separateness. We feel loneliness. We feel all these different things because we're not identifying with the breath. Remember, breath is all inclusive. It's everywhere, inside and out. Okay? But the brick can only be in a certain place. So what happens, the brick becomes the graveyard of your soul because he has died from cleaving. Cleaving, it means to be connected and attached. It's no longer cleaving to the soul, even though his essence is the spirit, it's a breath. But he wants to attribute to the flesh all the things and all the titles, that belong to the spirit. And that's, my friend, where the big frustration takes place. And I'm going to explain with the lesson right now, but I'm giving you that verse to begin with. So this is the state of man as it is, and David understood it in Psalm 44:25. And there's another verse I'm going to share here with you. Okay, and this is found in Psalm 119, also verse 25. And that is the beginning of the word dalet. Because remember that he made 8 verses for each letter of the alphabet in Psalm 119. So here's the beginning of dalet, and dalet is for the door, for the gate, for the entrance, to have access, to have administration. And this is the first verse, for dalet, when he begins to be inspired to write about dalet. So 119 verse 25, it says, "My soul cleaveth unto the dust." This is my propensity, Lord, because you pronounced that. You told me that dust thou art. So my soul, this is what David said, my soul cleaveth. It's just attached. It just identifies. It is one with the dust, with all the things that are of the dust. That's my natural propensity right now that I'm inclined to because of your pronouncement, because of what you said. So he's aware of what all human beings go through. So David is saying, my soul cleaveth. He's attached, wants to identify, with the dust. And then he says, quicken, bring me to life, which is what the breath does. The main job of the breath is to animate you, to bring you to life. So he says, quicken thou me according to thy dabar, according to thy word. Make me alive. In other words, bring me back to where I am with you, in the breath, because, in other words, make me cling back to my original state. So, from where I came from. So this is the interesting 2 verses that I'm going to focus on. So David was well aware of that. Like in verse 25, how it says, I bow, my soul bows down to the dust. My belly cleaveth. My desires and my satisfaction comes from being attached to the products of the dust. So all that is our inclination. The whole world is caught up in that. But then we're going to discover how the whole world is frustrated because, everybody wants the same title for themselves, and there can only be one. There can only be one that is the GOAT, right? So everybody's out to compete. Okay, so that's the situation that we're left in, okay? So I will explain that with the sense. But this, Psalm 119, verse 25, says, my soul cleaveth. That means to be attached. To want to identify with it, I want to just, be glued. My soul is glued onto the dust. Quicken thou me according to thy dabar. Make me alive, which is something that the breath does. The breath makes you alive, and so he wants to be in the breath. So he understands. And he's talking about the Torah here. He's describing each one of the letters of the alphabet. That's the purpose for which he was given us. The Torah was given us so that we will return back to the hay, that we will go back, to the place from which we came and never depart again. Because, that's something that God made us. And when God made us, I was actually saying, breath thou art, and as breath shalt thou remain. Okay? And the reason why we remain as breath is because we want all the titles that belong to the divine breath, or being, the life giver, or being the provider, Shaddai, the greatest one, the Almighty, the All-Powerful, all those things. We want to have those titles still. We want, as if the flesh needs those things. The flesh doesn't need those things. God made the flesh so complete, and He provided 300,000, edible plants for the best care that He could get, for longevity, luster, vitality, and everything that you can imagine. The thing is that we've been deprived of that, so that's why we're deficient. But that's all that is needed for the body. Those 300,000 varieties of plants, herbs, and what have you, that can do a wonderful thing to take care of the body. Outside of that, none of the processed food, even though we have 600,000 double processed food items in the supermarkets, none of those can do anything to come close, to what those edible plants can do for us. And those are the real providers. Those are the real experts. All those trees are the real experts to supply what is well balanced to keep this body very healthy, living for a long time like it was at the beginning, 900, almost 1,000 years, That's all provided by the garden. We have been deprived of it. That's what, that's going down. So the body, all it needs is just to have access to that garden. That's why at the end it says that we will turn our weapons into plowshares, and we're going to go back to discover the original garden and to grow into the variety of all the stuff that we have been missing. Because society doesn't even know, they can't begin to scratch the surface. If we industrialized nations have only give you 200 access to 200 of those 3,000, that's less than 1%. Man, you're being deprived. Less than 0.5%. You're being deprived, really bad. So it's like, wait. It's really, because you understand, if it's 300,000, okay? You understand? 300,000, 1% of 300,000 is 3,000. Okay? So we don't even have access to 3,000. So that's 1%. All right? So they say, so if it would have been like 300, that would have been like 0.01%. 0.1%. Okay? So it's like, wow. So when you look at it, it's like a 99.9%. If we only had 300. So we've been deprived of less than 0.1%. So bad. It's so sad. And we think nothing of it because, we never think around those things. Only, the Torah, it teaches us to go back and investigate and to get into the nitty-gritty of things. Okay, but this is the case. So my soul cleaveth unto the dust. I'm well aware of that's my condition. So I come to God. I come to His Torah. That is the face of God. That's the name of God. And I look into it, asking to be quickened, to be made alive so that we will cease to identify with this dust. I used to tell my students in high school, what's the point of living your whole life so that at the end when you die you only done a little better of what you do, by your body does by nature, when it dies. The one thing that your body naturally does when it dies, it just becomes a pile of dust, all right? And then eventually, with the passage of time, when they plunder the grave sites and everything, you become one with the rest of the dust in the earth. So you become a pile of dust first, and then you blend with the rest, and you cleave. You attach yourself to the rest of the earth. And that's the end of it. So why come to life, be alive, and be animated so that you can just pile all the products that are made of the dust? I'm going to pile this car. I'm going to pile this house. I'm going to pile this bunch of clothes. I'm going to pile all of this. I'm going to pile all this. And if it's not enough, I'm going to put it away in a store place. It's amazing how many people have things in stores for years. Never use it. Just paying storage fees. Because, hey, I'm piling the dust. So everything is being piling the dust, because as long as you are attached with those products, as long as you have some sort of attachment, you're cleaving onto dust, you feel that you accomplished something. So the whole time that you lived, when you could be animated, you didn't do anything that the dead corpse cannot. What's one thing that the corpse cannot do that you can do while you're alive? The dead corpse cannot get up and distribute anything. So the only good thing that you do when you're alive is when you're working. When you are doing all your knowledge that you're providing to provide a product and service so that your neighbor will have something, to have some comfort in this world, and you're sending it away. That's something that the dead corpse cannot do. It just converts himself into a pile, and then he blends with the earth and becomes one with it. So, but most people, they do that, but they hate it. They hate to be working and doing that. They just want to be aware of that. Just be in the consuming fashion, collecting the products after that, eating the food, everything, But only when you get into the awareness of the breath is when you enjoy the giving and the distributing of everything. God gives you something extra, you just give it away. Because you have a very limited budget, because you are enamored, you're in love with the Word of God, and that's where where your real jolly, your little things that make you happy come from understanding Him, and being intimate with Him. And so therefore you limit the things that your body needs, because really they're very needs. And when you do fasting, you realize that the body is so economical. It's amazing, all the little things that it needs, when it comes to food. Then everything else can be given away. That's how you differ from a dead corpse, that you can distribute. Any extra money you can distribute. Everything that is extra, you can just give it away. That's not something that the dead corpse cannot do. Okay? But you can only enjoy that activity if you are identifying with the breath, you see? But if you're identifying with the brick, the narrative and the programming does not allow you for you to enjoy that because you're too busy. You know, that's why me making $15 an hour, I get to give making $15 an hour. I get to give more than almost close to $2,000 a month away. I do a lot of overtime, by the way. But look at that. That's an amazing amount of money that is being given away. You know what I'm saying? With $15 an hour. You know, even though I do a lot of overtime, that really helps a lot. You know, thanks. So God allows me to have overtime and all of that. But exactly something like that happens, you know. So I have the capacity to do that because I limit what I need for this physical body and yet have an abundance to give. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I rejoice. So the giving to me is just whatever I give, I'm just enjoying God flowing through me because it is He who is the giver. And I'm just joining in that fellowship and joining in that, you know, communion. And that's where my riches lie, in being intimate with Him and enjoying the process of having Him go through me, you know, as generosity flows out of me. It is Him who is being generous in me. So I'm just enjoying being connected with Him and having that intimacy with Him. So that's what it's all about. But you only understand that if you are like what David says. I understand that I want to cleave unto the earth. I want to go because the whole world telling me it's by the abundance of things that you show from the earth that you're going to be somebody and all that. No. Just quicken me. Make me alive according to thy bar. And that's what our prayers should be, you see? And that's what the answer, the Torah was given for that purpose. That's what the mitzvahs are giving us. So that we will rise above. Our awareness, once again, is returned, you know, to what it should be. Okay? So let me take you now to the lesson for today. Let me put the picture here. All right? So, so as we look at it today, I'm going to take you here to the beginning on top. All right, let me see if I can see how we're doing here. Make sure that you guys can see everything. Oh, perfect. Okay, because I don't want you guys to be missing on something here. All right, let me see if I can move this here a little bit. All right, that doesn't help, so let me just leave it there. And tell you what, I'm gonna go to the to the other window for the observatory because we are observing Torah now. Let me take you there. All right, let me see. Here we go. I hope the camera is working okay. Yeah. This is better because it covers everything better, and there's no noisy little thing moving in the bottom. All right, so let's cut to this one here. All right, we're gonna see. All right. Perfect. Okay, follow me here now. All right. So, all right, let me make sure the mic is on with me on this one. Yes. Okay, perfect. All right. Look at what I say here. The air. Listen, this is a very deep lesson, by the way. The air, A-I-R, that means all-inclusive regenerator. Because that's what it regenerates our lives. It keeps our lives going. It's an all-inclusive. What? All-inclusive means every flesh. Animal flesh, insect flesh, all flesh, you know, gets the air. It's an all-inclusive regenerator. So the air, the all-inclusive generator, and the word. Now I gave a meaning for the word here. That is wholesome, orderly regulations describer. Because that's what a word is. Especially a wholesome word. I stop using wholesome word and I put just the word because the bar, remember the bar, the Dalet B.R.E.A.T.H means the administration of an economy. The administration is the door, the Beth is the house, and the Resh are the rules. So house rules means economy, and Dalet means door or administration. So the administration of the economy means the bar in the Hebrew. So the bar, which means word in English, is already a very high word in the sense that it stands for the running and being managing a whole economy. So you have to know a whole wholesome word. So I figure I'm going to present the word in English like this. The word that is wholesome, orderly regulations describer. Okay? Because that's what the word does. It describes to you how a whole thing should be put together and the order of it. So the air, that means the all-inclusive regenerator, and the word, which means the wholesome, orderly regulation describer, unanimously. That means as one, they share the functionality. Now listen to this. They share the functionality. Even though one is air and the other is a word, this is what the functionality they both are able to do. Unanimously, me and one share the functionality of breath. They are what? They are builders resurrecting economies as terra nova heavens. Okay? Let me say that again. There's a whole bunch of words in here. So they are sharing and I call them builders because the word breath is as one, right? Like Yud He Vav He means Lord as one, but the functionality is all inclusive. So the breath and the air, they're builders, both of them. They're builders resurrecting economies as terra nova heavens. And resurrecting means bringing to life, regenerating, keeping alive, because that's what a resurrection is, bringing to life, resuscitating, keeping alive. And so the breath does that to our bodies 24/7, every second of it. If we will not have the air continually flowing into us, we will not continue to be alive. So the air keeps us resuscitated, keeps us resurrected, keeps us alive. It's a continual resurrection that happens, continually, non-stop. And so the air is able to do that for the body. And also, when you know a wholesome word, when you know a wholesome, orderly regulation describer, a word that describes a whole economy, then you can keep that economy running 24/7. You can work in that company, you can keep the products and services working and fine-tuned and brand new, and that's all you do. You keep everything brand new. Okay, 24/7 you have that capacity. So you become the oxygen that animates and gives life to the companies. Okay, so those are the things. So that's why the Bible, there's no contradiction in Elohim. That means the sharing of the faculties. Elohim means God, but his powers, his abilities, his faculties, the wisdom faculties. So there's no contradiction when you see it that way. So singular in that the functionality is one. It's one and the same. The air is a builder resurrecting economies as terra nova heavens. Terra nova, by the way, it just means new earth. Okay, terra means earth and nova means new. So the one trying to say builders resurrecting economies as new earthly heavens. That's what I'm trying to say, but I put it here so I could fit it with a T there. So builders resurrecting economies as terra nova, as earth new, or new earth, or new earthly heavens. Okay, a way to say it that way. So this is the thing. Now, so what the Torah is all about is the title here that I put here below that. Okay, and that is in here. See, you can see my little hand. Yeah, you can follow my little hand. How to breathe. All right? That's what the Torah is here to teach us this, how to breathe. All right? Because if we identify with breath, that means we're going to be breathing life into everything. Just like God breathed life into us, we're going to be in the spirit, then the haze in us. And now that we have it for the understanding of the taking care of the word, we're going to breathing life onto the words, especially the words of the echo chambers, the customers. We're going to turn those words into producers. And that's what we're here for, how to breathe. And by that, it means how to build resurrecting economies as terra nova heavenly environments. Okay? That's what the whole Torah is about. All right? Because when the air, the oxygen comes into this body, your body is regenerated. Your body is made anew. It's refreshed. It's kept alive. It's kept going. It gets a whole new batch of oxygen. So it's made new again. Okay? And this body that is made out of the earth becomes like an earthly new earth because it's made out of the dust. You see? So your body is made new, like a brand new earth. You know? And then it's able to act on behalf of others. It's able to work and distribute good, pass down services. And all of that are heavenly attributes to be given. Everything that is in the heavens, the air, the water, the light, everything gives life constantly. And so when you're able to do that with your body, because it's receiving, the oxygen to keep it as a brand new earth, it's able to do heavenly things, It's able to provide a heavenly, attitude and situation in heaven, because the creating of goods and comforts for your neighbor, that's a heavenly thing to do. We have not been trained like that because we've been attached to the dust, and been trained to be bricks. And I explained that earlier, that BRIC is stands for building retarded industries, concealing knowledge. Because when you build a mule, you're too busy. It's like double duty. In the original garden, you gotta understand, in the original garden in which everything is resilient, everything is what I call the mare, as opposed to the donkey, as opposed to the mule. The mule cannot reproduce itself, but the mare, which is the female horse, the mare can multiply itself. So the mare is for massively abundant, replenishing the earth. Okay? Massively abundant, replenish the earth. So that's the commandment right there. That it can do that by itself. And so, because the mare can do that by itself, it does not impose a burden upon man to be able to help her to do so. But the mule has to depend on man. So man has to take time from studying Torah and from being in fellowship with only the mindset of God to take care of the mundane task of creating mules, because the mule cannot do his job. And so this whole industry is the mule, because it's manpower of hell, lame economy, cannot procreate itself. Everything that we make in these economies of the world that they think, they're advanced, but they're nothing but a mule, it distracts, it takes away. We have to learn the manuals of all the different man-made plants, because those man-made plants, those manufacturing plants, cannot do anything on its own without our help. So we have to learn all the regulations to make shoes, to make cars, to make all these means of transportation, to make TVs, everything that distracts us and takes us away, because we have double duty. We forgot, to live cherishing who the Father is and to become a father to the words of the Torah by keeping the meanings and definitions. So we're giving all the little things to distract us. So we have to take care of these things that cannot reproduce themselves. So we have to become parents to them. And then later on, we have to go buy products from another company to say that those products are taking care of us so they can be our mommy and daddy there. So it's like a whole real confusing thing. And the whole thing it's not a bad thing in the sense that God is making us sure. It's just like whenever you have retarded children, I don't mean to put down those parents that have children that have autistic or have a little retardation problem, they become the greatest parents because they have to give a lot of themselves, they have to sacrifice, but it's very hard because when they cannot do things on their own, it consumes a lot of your time. Okay? So this world that is condemned to identify with a brick as dust has to go work and take care of making houses, take care of making cars. And they have such love and passion for it, for buying it, for taking care of it, for lust. It's like taking care of our retarded children. It consumes all your time. You don't have time for Torah. You don't have time for the Bible. You don't have time for those things because your children is retarded. The mule is retarded. It needs all your attention. So in a way, you are these parents that are so caught up with all the products and services in this world that are so retarded that you have to work on keeping them clean, keeping them new, refreshing, restoring. So it gives you double duty as parents. And it's just amazing because God makes sure that you're never going to forget to be a father because I made you to be like me as a father. Sadly, you're not connected with me. You're going to have to be doing it for a retarded mule. But still, you are always going to be doing double duty. Because you understand? It's like if you were in the garden, all the trees do all their work by themselves. All the insects multiply. All the cows multiply. The donkeys multiply. The sheep multiply. And you have to go do the work with that for them. So they don't take away from studying Torah, from meditating on the Lord. They're doing it all on their own, It's not double duty as parents. It's just, but guys, God called you to be a parent to the Torah, to the 304,805 letters that He put in the Torah. Make sure that they're kept in the right order. Make sure that they're kept clean, because that's the revelation of me. That's why we are in connection. That's how I'm flowing through you. And that was it. And it's easy with that setup, of the mare, the massively abundantly replenished earth. The mare, that's what it does automatically. That's the economy that does that was given to us. But we are in double duty because we're given a mule to take care of, that is all retarded, and it needs all of our attention and consumes all of our attention. So that's why the whole world is caught up. You understand? So we're getting deep understanding here because I want you to go. I challenge anybody to tell me that I'm wrong. This is how it's set up. But the Torah is giving me sight to see it. It opens my eyes, open down my eyes that I may see wondrous things out of thy law. This is part of that prayer. My eyes are open, and I'm seeing the connectedness of everything, and I'm sharing this with you guys, because that's what makes sense in life, you know. So the whole idea is to ascend. We're going to ascend to the breath, all right? So it's how to breathe, and I'm thinking that this is going to be a title. I have so many books that have come out now. I thought I was going to write one book, but I can write a whole encyclopedia now. Man, it's just been so many since I started in 2019 with an idea of a book, you know, the top the bar. I mean, the gospel means the good word, the functional word. Since then, I have had about 20 titles for different books. And this is one of them, How to Breathe. So it's going to be one of my books too, you know. So How to Breathe says, how to build resurrecting economies as terra nova heavenly environments. And then that's going to be the main title. And then a little explanation in the bottom will be a primer or a manual. A primer for the highest CEOs. That looks a very attractive title already. Okay, the highest CEOs. But what does that stand for? A primer or a manual for the highest consciousness elevation of salvation or sense making. Okay? In the Torah, in the Bible, in the Torah is referred as the salvation of God. Because by opening the... Okay, I was going to pick up the little Torah here, but I don't want my setup to fall off. By opening the Torah, that's how the soul is completed. The soul connects with the face of God, and it kisses the face of God. And now the breath of God comes into it. Because just like Adam, was formed from the breath of God that came into him, our soul is also filled with God from his breath, and his breath comes out from his face. When you open in the Torah, that's the panim, that's the face of God, and he's breathing life into you. That's why you open. That's how you complete yourself. So opening the Torah, opening the scroll, that's the parting of the waves, and the papyrus solution, which is the paper. And that's the salvation of God. When they went to the Red Sea through the papyrus solution, he was pointing to the Torah, opening up, and now we receiving that fresh breath, from the Father, from the face of the Father, and being made alive and identifying with his breath and never departing from it. Understanding that breath thou art, and as breath shalt thou remain. And we remain in that fellowship. This is deep stuff, but that's how it is. So the Torah, is the salvation in the sense that it points out what is lacking and all that is missing for you to connect back, and that is able to supply that. And so it is every manual in every company. The manual becomes the salvation of the company. But because without that manual, the employees will not know how to assemble, how to do service, or do anything to provide the products and service. So that manual becomes the savior, of that CEO. Because without that manual, his company is in ruins. The work won't get done. So every CEO, every maker, every creator of every product knows that they have to patent that product, they have to patent that manual, because that is what saves the company from going in ruins. And nobody fights for it. It's something that they'll take care of the little baby. And so without that manual, there's no salvation. The company cannot be saved. So the manual was what completes, the mindset of the creator with his employees. It links them together, and it becomes a savior. And that's how it is. So it's a primer for the highest consciousness elevation of the Torah, of salvation, on what I call sense making. Because when you get a manual, you make sense of what you have to do at work. It's sense making for the things, for the job and everything you have to do at work. That's what every manual is. It's sense making for any product and service that you have to render. And the Torah is sense making for the best way to employ the Aleph Bet as father, so that you have the heart to always be learning, never stop learning. You always be open up to new ideas, so that you can bring comfort to your neighbor, to your left or to your right, nonstop. Okay, and that's what we work. All right, so this is wonderful. So, how to breathe. How to build resurrecting economies as terra nova heavenly environments. A primer for the highest consciousness elevation of salvation or sense making. All right, and so let me get to the bottom part here. Let me take it to the top. The Torah, which means law, and I put this, that means the Torah or the teachings overtly reproducing Aleph Bet handyman. Alphabeticize just means the word that I use to make sure that every word that you know is a producer, is a parent to society, not just an echo chamber, not just a consumer of a product, but that every word that you get to have, you make it a producer. Alphabeticize is to make a word be a producer, be a parent. So the Torah, or the teachings overtly reproducing alphabeticized handyman, or handywoman for that matter, was given for us to raise the body of flesh. Okay, the illumination. Okay, the body of flesh. I mean, the fortifying language advancing successful humans, for those that remember what it stood for. But the body of flesh, which is the body of words. Okay, so the Torah was given for us to raise the body of flesh, that means the body of illumination, which is composed of the alphabet, to be very robust and full of health. Therefore, to secure that this body of revelation, which is the body of flesh, illuminates, is always able to have a strong constitution, we are taught the way. That means the words and yearnings. We are taught the way that can enable us to experience. We are taught the words and yearnings that can enable us to experience the work. Okay, and this is a little highlighted here, it's a little darker. The work of the breath connecting us or hooking us up to breath. So that's why, to be able to make sure that this body of flesh, that is made of words, has a strong constitution, it's a strong body. We are taught the way, the words and yearnings, of God by reading the Torah. And that can enable us to experience for ourselves, that means the work of the breath connecting us or hooking us up to breath. And then I break it down here. That means the work of the building or business resurrecting economies as terra nova heavens, hooking us up to build resurrecting economies as terra nova heavens. That is the meaning of Yud He Vav He. Isn't that amazing? Because that's what Yud He Vav He means. The work of the breath connecting with the breath. And so isn't that amazing? You see the beauty of it. That we are able. So when you think of it, so to have a strong constitution or a strong body of flesh, we are taught the way or the words and yearnings that can enable us to experience Yud He Vav He in the here and now. That's the beauty of it. So I'm putting it the whole breakdown of letter per letter because we're dealing with functionality here. That's how we blend. That's how we connect. That's how we raise our consciousness to the level of where God looking at everything from God's point of view. And that's the whole purpose of it. Okay. So this is amazing. Let me just go through that one more time because this is heavy stuff. We're going to have to do this lesson about 3 times because there's a lot of heavy duty stuff here to remember. And by the way, Andy, I already have your song, but I'm not able to sing it today because this lesson needs to be said. But I think I'll do it next Wednesday for sure. I already been practicing with the karaoke, and it's not that hard to change, Yeah, so, Mama said knock you out. That's woo. It says Torah said knock you out, and it's gonna be wonderful how it comes out. But you see, we'll talk about that next week. But this has to be said today. So the work, of the breath connecting us, hooking us to the breath. Because the work of the building or business, resurrecting economies as terra nova heavens. When you go into a building, all right, to work for any company in the here and now, that building is producing a product out of the manual. And that building was made from a manual too. So the building itself comes from a manual. So the building, that is resurrecting economies as terra nova heavens, it hooks you up. You get to work in there and then you do the work. You build resurrecting economies as terra nova heavens. It means you take the word, you fill it with meanings and definitions, and then that's a resurrecting economy, a word that can make things happen, make things be produced. That's a resurrecting economy, and makes things as new earthly heavens, and that is the meaning of Yud He Vav He. I explained that. And then I put the meanings, yes, I explained that before I left that from the past. And so let me go to this bottom part, then I'm going to start answering questions. So this You understand? So this is the whole thing for us to experience Yud He Vav He. And so God is in the functionality. God is not just an echo chamber. God is involved in everything that we do. And the breath is the best teacher. Because like I said, the breath is all inclusive. It's like I said at the beginning here, the air, all inclusive regenerator, and the word, which means wholesome, orderly regulation, describer, unanimously as one, they share the functionality of breath. That's why they're one. And that's what we need to become as one. We do that every day, but we are not aware of it because we are so caught up in the prison of the brick, of this body of flesh, and we are isolated that way. That's the only way that we can be divided. As long as we are aware that we want to insist that we are bricks, division will continue. It's only when we rise to the level of the consciousness of the breath that oneness takes place. That we realize, that everything is to have intimacy with the Maker, and everything that we do, by way of His mitzvahs, whenever you're fulfilling His mitzvahs, to honor your parents, to be faithful to your husband, not to kill, not to steal, not to covet, not desire anything else, but always want the best, not to blaspheme. Whenever you're doing these things, and you wholeheartedly want to do those things, it is Him that you have in fellowship. It is with Him that you're connecting. It is Him flowing out of you because it was His will for you to do so. And you have acquiesced, you have bowed down to it because you want to be in fellowship with Him. That's how you have fellowship. And that's how you never depart from Him. So that's mitzvahs, just the solutions, of the desire, to connect, to the hay. They connect to the breath. And that's what you do. When you do a mitzvah, you have found a solution to be connected to the hay. And all of that has taken place. So, all of that. So I'll take you back. Let me take you up to the bottom here now. All the way. So this is a very interesting question here. Now I'm going to put here at the end. Let me see if I can make you see all of this. It doesn't let me go any higher. Okay. Okay, but it shows everything. Okay. This is the question now. When and where do we get to have for the best care of our flesh and our flesh, that stands for the language, which is in charge of all the work of our hands, the flesh, the language, the one that gets to empirically prove prove himself over and over again to be the only true resurrector, healer, water walker, provider, renewer, restorer, refresher, and multiplier of thousands of loads of beneficial supplies. When and where do we get to have this? In the here and now. And because I couldn't write the rest of it, let me just read it from my notes here because I was supposed to do it, but I didn't have time. So, when do we need to have the resurrector, all of that stuff that happened that the breath is able to do? The breath walks over water. Your reasonings and your wholesome words are inside of you, purveying and surveying everything, and is walking on top of everything. It's pure air, resuscitating products and services. The air that the oxygen is given to you resurrects your body 24/7. Your words, wholesome words, are able to do that to things in here. They are providers, they are renewers, they are restorers, they are refreshers. So in the here and now, you get to have that, and His name, the one that does this, His name is Breath. The builder, resurrecting economies as terra nova heavens. The one from which every one of us sprang from and are kept going, the spirit of the divine spirit. And we get to enjoy it in the here and now. See? So you got to understand. So that's why all the religions of the world, including Christianity, that will have you believe that resurrection is coming later on. Everything that treats everything and loses sight of the hay, loses sight of the divine breath, and will have you just be activated and completely immersed in the affairs of the dust and in the business of the dust, those ones are robbing you of the all-powerful here and now. Because like I say, you and I are always going to be living in the here and now. When the future comes, it's going to be the here and now. We are only aware of existence. So you need to appropriate for the here and now all that the breath is, all that the breath does, and all that the breath has. So the breath is the resurrector. For the words, as the resurrector, then they give for this body on a 24/7 ongoing basis. It's not like once you're going to get it when you get out, when somebody's going to come to give it to you. All these religions that are deficient because they do not give you the 304,805 letters of the Hebrew alphabet that is the correct diet. Those are the gardens, the living plants of the Hebrew alphabet that keep this body, this soul this soul that is made of the Spirit connected with the breath of God. It fails to do that. So it offers you all those things, or puts it upon a person. Okay? Like for example, on the character of the Christ, the Moshiach is never supposed to do that. Moshiach means Christ, right? The Moshiach is never supposed to take any of those attributes unto himself. Call himself the resurrection. Call himself the life. Call himself the healer. Call himself the water walker. Call himself all the things that the breath is. We are happy to enjoy the breath in fellowship with that breath because the breath made us as a female, as a soul, for us to be married to us, for him to be our husband, but we're not taking away any of his titles. We're experiencing all that he is. We experience him as the resurrection. We experience him as life. We experience him as the provider. We experience him as the restorer, and as all the fellowship that we're having, but not for 1 second not even the Messiah, the Moshiach, that's as the Jewish Bible describes, will ever get to do that. So because whenever a human being is attributed those things, that's how you manage to disengage a society. And so that you can control it by external means, by governments that set up rules and everything for the external, and you think that you need them. But when you become breath, my friends, when you rise up to the level, of being a builder of resurrecting economies as terra nova heavens, when you create those kind of environments, you are in fellowship, you are in union, you are all inclusive. You're not stealing anything from anybody, you're supplying in abundance, and you have this power in the here and now. Nobody is stealing into you from the past. Nobody's waiting for you to give it in the future, because God desires to have himself within us in the here and now. And it is in the here and now that he is our resurrection and our life. And he shows us that. And we can become one with him in that. Never stealing that away from him. It's in the here and now that he is our walker. Now the waters, he walks on top of everything. He comes inside of us and surrounds us. He rules from within us. He does all of that stuff. It's in the here and now that we have this thing, that we have the healer, that we have the one that configures and put things together. Every time that we're working for a company, it is the hey in the word that is creating that thing and it's creating that stuff and it's doing all of that without getting any credit because we are captured and encapsulated in the brick. Okay? So that's what you need to understand. That is in the here and now. Don't let anybody steal that away from you. That's why this kind of a message is the Torah, telling me, Mama say knock you out. Torah say knock you out. Because I'm going to bring that song. I mean, that's a beautiful song that my brother Andrew Christian told me to learn, and it's going to be good. Because we're going to wipe out all the deficient, all the deficient pesels that are not the direct face of God found in the Torah, and therefore has made us lost all the power that we have in the here and now. That's why the title of this message is The All-Powerful Here and Now. Because in your awareness of the breath, you connect, my friends, with the divine breath, and all of the divine breath is yours. Because you are aware of all that the divine breath is, all that the divine breath has, and all that the divine breath does. And you have it for yourself to enjoy in the here and now, and that is your fullness of joy. In the presence, there's fullness of joy, and there's at your right hand, there's pleasures forevermore. The right hand, the one that writes the words, I have that in the Torah. I'm in his presence. I'm in the face, the panim, and I know that's my joy, and that's what I want to share with you. And know And nobody has given me this. Christianity was not able to give it to me. The Torah alone and the Hebrew alphabet and its testimonies has opening up my eyes to see these things. And I'm sharing it with you. The whole world is cut up as bricks, working and toiling themselves here and there, hoping that something in the future will get. But that's the thing, my friends. The thing is, somebody else, you rise up, somebody else comes and breaks your record and takes that title away from you. So the goat goes from hand to hand. And that's how he that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh. He shall make fun of them. Because you thought you were going to steal the titles from God. So he created an environment in which you're going to go fighting for those things. To be the champion of basketball, to be the champion of baseball, to be the champion runner, to be the greatest of all the world things, and everybody's fighting for that. And everybody's killing each other to get those titles, to get everything that belongs to God. But nothing is taken from the breath. The breath remains intact, it remains pure, and so you are called to that fellowship. All right? Okay. Now, it's time for questions. All right, let me get you here. Let me see, here we go. It's a lot of stuff we learned today. Well, let me see if I can have you here. And let me put you in here for a minute so I can put you guys in here. All right, I think that's where we are. All right, let me see. All right, I see some of you here. All right. Look at all the people here. All right, inhale, exhale. Wisdom and understanding. All right, okay. Yeah, that song has no cussing, really, It's just a lot of... It's just about this rapper that is going to knock you out because he's the best in town. That's how the way the workers... But the Torah is the best. So it's the best song to use to knock everybody else out of the water, So I'm going to reward it in such a way that we're going to have good fun with it, We're going to enjoy it. We're going to make it powerful for the revelation of the Torah. It's a great song, and we're going to work on that. So, Torah says, knock you out. I'm going to knock you out. That's exactly what, I'm going to knock you out. Torah says, knock you out. That's a great song. All right, we're working on that. Hopefully next week I'll have it ready. So we'll see what we can do. And we're going to be teaching some more of this because this is a brand new stuff for a lot of you, and so I understand. So now, let me get ready with the first question. Okay, the first question, because there's a lot of acronyms today. You notice that. So we're going to be looking at some of the acronyms. Let's see if anybody wrote some of them down, all right? Okay, now, the first acronym that I'm going to test you on are the ones I showed you today. Okay, I don't know if anybody noticed, but what did the word air, A-I-R, A-I-R, for the first $80? If somebody wrote it down, for the word air, because one of the words that I share there as an acronym, air and word have the same functionality in common, okay? And I put so that's a very hard one because I did a lot of acronyms today, so I'm testing the acronyms. Woo! Brianna, my goodness. You're paying attention. Yeah, and Brian too. You got it too, but Brianna got it first. So Brianna gets the $80. All right, Brianna. All right, Brianna. Very good. $80. Perfect. All right. Now, yeah. Okay, so that's good. That is good. All right. Now, that's one of the acronyms that I gave. Okay. Now, let me see. The other one now. Okay. For this question, pay close attention, okay? Now, Brianna, you're a winner, so just stay calm now. Don't even contribute anything. Because you're always eager to answer a question, which is wonderful. I love that about you. But let's have a little control. Okay, now, the next question is, the following sentence, which means the work of breath hooking up with breath. The work of breath hooking up with breath. What does that represent in Hebrew? What is the meaning of that in the Hebrew letters? The work of breath hooking up with breath. What is that in Hebrew? Somebody's paying attention. The work of breath hooking up with breath. Okay, now that I did not ask for the spelling of breath yet. Just the meaning of the work of the breath hooking up with the breath. There are 4 letters of the Hebrew alphabet that describe that. Okay, the work of the breath hooking up with breath. There are 4 letters of the Hebrew alphabet that describe that. All right, and 2 of them repeat themselves. So it's really 3, but it's the 4 sequence of letters. Hey, you getting close, Andy? All right, you have 2 letters and okay. I think what happens is because sometimes your what do you call that? Sometimes your corrector gets in the way, so I'm gonna give it to Andy. To hey, Bob, hey, okay. Even though it's not correctly spelled there, but you try your best first, and you even give it a description in English. So sometimes I know that because it's not an English word, it gets to be, but you're very close enough, and you even gave the English meaning of that. So, okay, you would have avail, Lord. Correct. I'm gonna give it to Andy. Andy. Second one, it gets $80. Okay, now Andy and Brianna, you have to hold yourselves, from saying anything now. We're going to do the last one. All right. Okay, now for the next question. Okay, attention. The next question. What is the meaning of acronym BREATH? Acronym BREATH, what does it stand for? Acronym BREATH. The meaning of acronym BREATH, what did I make those letters stand for? Breath. All right. Let's see the breath. Okay. Building, business, resurrecting. Okay, you have 2 letters at least, Rosa there. Let me see. All right. I think I got a winner. Build, resurrecting economies as Terra Nova heavily environment. Okay, you give the whole word breathe, which is okay. Includes the word breath in there. So, all right. So, Brian Wanta, you get $80. All right. And now, what's okay? The thing. Okay. With Rosa, because there's always a prize for participating. You're gonna get $30, Rosa. But I also said I was gonna give you $50 to help you with the phone. Okay, so you're gonna get $80 also tomorrow. So because you have a problem with the phone, I know you need some help with that. So Rosa's also gonna get $80 because I promised her to help her with the phone. So she's gonna get $80, and everybody got $80. So Rosa got $30 for participating and $50 for her phone help. So praise God, we're able to give some money and help everybody. And these are heavy lessons. I hope that you're able to. And I'm going to put this one on YouTube so you're able to review it later on, because these are brand new stuff. I'm not making it up. I'm just understanding what the Torah is trying to teach me, from everything that I'm reading and everything that I've been And I have soared to the heights of that understanding, because you understand this is consciousness elevation. Everybody in the world is talking about spirituality, consciousness elevation, and I'm getting it for free from the Torah. And I'm sharing it with you. I'm having a good time with this. So the whole world is going to be wild when they see all the stuff that the Torah has to open it for them. Because this is power for the here and now, my friends. Real power, all right? And let me see if I have a song in here. I think I have a song. But I left it here. Let me see if I can find it. If I just remember where I put it. Let me see. Something to say. Give me a second. So we can close with a song. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was here. Was it here? Let me see. Well, hello, my fellow Bavarians. Here I am. I'm sharing a little song that's been Torah rectified called Trust in You. Originally by Lauren Daigle. Okay, I'll put this one. Let me put the main thing here. Trust in You is this original song by Lauren Daigle. Torah rectified by yours truly, Zechariah David Castro. Says, with the alphabet, that is the alphabet, the Father, we are able to receive, learn, and show what is the best that can be found in everyone or anything that we get to love the most. And so that's the whole idea. I've changed this song, which is just the first two verses and the choruses. Everything else is okay. Everything else is originally from her. But I changed that to make you understand that if we're going to identify with the breath of the Father, and that's where we come from the divine breath, and that's what we aim to be, we're not going to live frustrated in this life, hoping that He answers our prayers or not. We'll know that our prayers are answered because we're walking in His will. But if you're going to be identified with a dusty brick, the dust you are unto dust you thou return, and want God to always please you as you identify with your dusty body made out of the dust, it's just a brick of flesh, then you're going to experience frustration, my friends. So that's the difference with this song and the difference with the original one. So let me just start the music right now so you understand what I'm talking about. Let me put it all through here. All right, and then we're going to go take it to the top, and we get ready to sing it. Here we go. All right, let's play. Okay, letting go of every empty dream, find reality at your square. Every moment is a wonder scene, never ending is your way. There's no device or weapon I confess that can remove me from your blessed rest. Mighty warrior, king of the fight, is what my soul becomes when you're my life. There's no sailing fountain that cannot be withstood. There's no restraining waters that I cannot just walk through. Till you're the only answer to show what's best in you. I will trust in you. Truth is, you know what tomorrow brings. There's not a day ahead you have not seen. So in all things, be my life and breath. I want what you want, Lord, and nothing less. Get ready. And no sailing fountain that cannot be withstood. There no restraining waters that I cannot just walk through. If you're the only answer to show what's best in you, I will trust in you. So we're using some Bluetooth Samba and Santana. Okay, let me